It's nice to be back in around the forms of the actual Cloudsdale, in the forms of Rainbow Dash's favorite place. Oh wait, scratch that, because I think, it was supposed to belong to Hasbro, not Nintendo itself, even though I've already brought that joke already by the forms of the new Super Luigi U original Let's Play of our channel. So, hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Blossom here once again, and I'm from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos of course, and I'm the leader of the Powerpuff Girls universe. So, yeah, welcome back to more Let's Play of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, via the new Super Luigi U, for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time we actually did completely done with everything in Rock Candy Mines, of course, and as you can see, I've managed to accomplish those two levels to be able to replace the purple space into blue spaces as per usual. And today for this episode is the fact that we are about to be moving on to the 7th world in New Super Luigi U, which is the forms of Meringue Clouds. See, from then though, before we get this thing started, we'll switch back over to Luigi, and we're about to get started right here with Meringue Clouds -1 Fuzzy or Frozen Fuzzies. So, yeah, I apologize by the fault of my tongue twisting at the very beginning. It's because of how the fact that, well, at this rate, it is the fact that I would able to actually upload these kinds of videos on our normal time at this point now. But even then though, if some days usually doesn't go dragged on at some point or another, then I should probably point things out right away. When it comes to uploading daily stuff, it might be something like sometimes a bit too early and sometimes a little bit too later than now, which even then though, that could be applied for most of these days. Just want to point things out right away, but even then though, that's not getting ahead of ourselves. So even then though, right off the bat though, we got ourselves a penguin suit, but no longer have it just because of that freaking ice bro just really ruins my life. Anyway though, yeah, today was actually forms of the 26th of January in 2019, sorry, and I managed to discuss upon quite a number of things actually, although I will discuss more details onto that, those specific stuff for later, because obviously I need to concentrate onto this last part with those freezing up those fuzzies right there, but I'm pretty sure that Nabbit won't be playable in this particular level, because all he does is just basically he would able to actually bypass through those fuzzies. So, well, unless if there's anything possible that it might be still possible to able to actually play as Nabbit in any forms of this level, is by simply we need to let those ice bros to able to deal with the job by simply able to actually freeze up those fuzzies. So, anyways, though, let's switch back to Blue Toad in Wiggler Rodeo in, Meringue Clouds -2. So, yeah, you get the solution here. So another thing is what I'm pointing out right away is the fact that I've yet again managed to play myself on my own time by the forms of Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance for a little bit, and seems more accurately, I actually did manage to finally done the 3 passage so far, which even then, well, I've already accomplished everything in the forms of the Emerald Passage and the Ruby Passage, but now I just need to able to deal with the Top Boys passage. Oh wow, a lot of 1-ups right there. That's a very good level to actually grind for more extra lives, by the way, especially with that little Starman chain reaction right there. I gotta admit it though right away, that was very good. But anyways though, yeah, I managed able to actually finally accomplish the 3rd passage of the game, and it took me quite a few tries to able to, trying to able to defeat the boss fights in that specific passage, because, let me tell you, the forms of that teddy bear boss fight is actually a pain in the bum to deal with. Especially the fact that, well, I finally able to notice something is the fact that Wario Land 4 bosses do have its own weakness. Even then though, think of like how it does in the forms of the Robot Master's weapons from the forms of, the entire classic Mega Man games, including Mega Man X games as well, that usually has the exact same, weapons weakness was, but unlike in the forms of the Mega Man games where you can keep it at all times, well, in the forms of some of these items in Wario Land 4, we do need to acquire by the forms of those special coins you need to get by the forms of keep on playing through minigames and stuff. So that might be the only differences from here, but honestly, I'm pretty happy I finally managed to accomplish the 3rd passage, because even then, as far as I'm aware, is that whenever I got the game back in 2011, about during the new forms of almost 7 years ago, well, 7 years ago to be exact, and we still even can get past by the forms of the third passage boss, because I found it to be pretty tough and annoying at the same time, and yeah, after all that 7, or in this case almost 7 years, or in this case almost 8 years as a matter of fact, that we've, when we first got ourselves Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance cartridge version. And, yep, I did manage to able to finally pass that, so now I need to focusing on is the forms of Sapphire Passage, which I'll say that right now, that Sapphire Passage is easily one of my least favorite passage in Wario Land 4. But I'm sure many people already sort of disagree onto that, because even then though, that we might actually go ahead and deal with the Wario Land series of Let's Plays in the future, most notably by the forms of during the likes of this year specific. Oh god, fire bro! That fire bro just right into my face. So anyways, by the forms of how that, however though, it all depends on how the fact that they're trying to able to bring back the Wario Land series again. So even then, because again, it's been 10 years since the last Wario Land game by the forms of the Nintendo Wii, but usually, you know, we haven't got one for the Wii U, or neither the 3DS, well, despite the fact that the 3DS and the Wii U already technically has those Wario Land games, but they're usually involved around the Virtual Console re-releases. So even then though, they're not like proper new games, but they're just more accurately just old downloadable games as far as I'm concerned with that. But at least I still enjoyed them and pretty fun at the same time. Well, despite the fact that the first Wario Land game is a bit outdated now compared to the forms of the sequels, but I still really enjoyed it nonetheless. But it takes a bit of practice though, kind of think about it. And here we go, just go down here until you get yourselves the, of course, the third and the final star coin we go. Now, of course, you can see right there on the screen, I was originally trying to select Nabbit on this level, but I should probably save him until whenever we get to the final Ghost House level in new forms of the actual main game, so... Anyways though, so here we go, we're fighting against with Kamek for the, let's just say the final time in new forms of the actual 2D Mario game at this point, because even then, once we're done with him, then we can able to actually focusing on the final Koopaling battle, and especially noticeable by the forms of, well, obviously Bowser Jr., and of course the big bad of himself by the forms of Bowser himself, so... But again, it's pretty much exactly similar to the forms of, you know, the new Super Mario Bros. U game, but... The noticeable difference is pretty obvious, is Luigi's physics has been changed, so... But you know, you get the idea with this solution here, so let's go ahead and just keep on jumping from block to block, and... Oh, really? How come I missed him? Okay, come on. Hopefully I would able to not waste my time here, even though I think so far for my run of Kamek's boss battle is actually a lot better than the forms of the new Super Mario Bros. U mode, kind of mentally, because obviously I just keep on getting hits most of the time, because I was really used to with the forms of the Peach's movesets now, especially because of how the fact that, well, it might be a little bit broken when it comes to the actual challenge, but apart from that though, I'm actually really used to it with it now, so... Anyways though, so let's kick out the likes out of Kamek now, and sure enough we can able to move on, so... Thankfully though, the Meringue Clouds world won't be nearly as long as the forms of, well, Soda Jungle, that's for sure, but it will be longer, but either way though, I might as well point things out for this point, so here we go, on to Vanishing Ghost House, the final Ghost House level in New Super Luigi U, so... But even then, that's what I can say about it. But again, I really do apologize by the faults of my dialogue itself is going really bad these days, especially because I even, trying to able to apologize by the forms of the actual uploading schedules on normal times and all that stuff, but I'll promise you, in the future, well, it all depends though, really, because of I was being super busy with all the other stuff in mind, but either way though, let's not get ahead of ourselves at this rate, so... Of course, as to be expected from any other Ghost House levels, there is of course this secret exit. So you approach the one on the left, on that little door over there. Now, before you end off the level, there's the Luigi's Mansion 2 Easter egg right there, which is really cool, especially because of how the fact that, wow, New Super Luigi U did came out after, you know, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon / Luigi's Mansion 2. And I'm very surprised about the fact that, well, Luigi's Mansion 3 will be on its way for the Nintendo Switch, so yeah, definitely looking forward to the third game in the series of the Luigi's Mansion game, because I know for a fact that we haven't got a Luigi's Mansion game for about 6 years now, which even then, but again, I think we should probably go ahead and say now, we probably should able to tackle through Luigi's Mansion 2, before when Luigi's Mansion 3 is gonna come out for the Nintendo Switch. Well, at least after the E3 presentation is about to be able to show off the main game, but I'm really hyped for the actual main game itself, along with the forms of Metroid Prime 4 still, and especially noticeable with pretty much everything else, and also Pikmin 4. It depends on the forms if it's gonna happen or not, but again, you know, I feel a little bit rusty with these particular news and updates and all that stuff once again, so... speaking of Metroid Prime 4, apparently though, Nintendo has been stated about the fact that, recently during the likes of in yesterday, I think, that I haven't mentioned about this in yesterday's video as a matter of fact, recently about the... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I just got hit by the forms of those hovering question mark fake blocks. Well, oh well, let's see if we can able to get something from here, such as the spare acorn mushroom back. And sure enough, we'll get the second star coin, and the third and final one is... Oh, really? I think I'm actually going to be blaming on that, clinging onto the wall or something, so... That'll be entirely my fault right there, so... We'll, try that again. So, yeah, speaking of, Metroid Prime 4, apparently the actual development by the forms of Metroid Prime 4, is going to be able to get ourselves a restarting, development cycle, because... apparently, because they were originally trying to able to be developed by Namco Bandai Games, but it turns out it wasn't anymore, because guess what? Retro Studios is now working on Metroid Prime 4, and I was like, yes! Finally, after about, you know, several years after the events of the forms of Metroid Prime 3, that usually the Metroid Prime trilogy did manage to able to being developed by Retro Studios after all, by the forms of Metroid Prime 1, 2, and of course 3. So even then though, I'm really surprised that Metroid Prime 4 will make its way by the forms of the Retro Studios developer. So even then though, but what also means the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that the Metroid Prime 4 game will be delayed, but that's okay because I'm sure enough I can able to actually play through Metroid games, including Metroid Prime Trilogy, on these 3 separate titles, so that way I can able to now finally jump into Metroid Prime 4 for the Nintendo Switch. It might actually be at some point in 2020 or 2021. It all depends by the forms of the actual, like, somewhat developing cycle. But either way, though, we'll find out during the future time. So for now, another thing that's one of pointing out is the fact that today, that I've managed to finally get the chance to see a new anime film by the forms of Dragon Ball Super Broly. And for what I think about it, it's actually pretty awesome even to this day, because I'm still a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z, including Dragon Ball Super especially as well, but even then though, because of how the fact that with the fighting scenes and all that stuff. But I'm not going to spoil the ending of Dragon Ball Super Broly, because I'll let you guys find out for yourselves. But again, just like in the forms of the actual leak of Kingdom Hearts 3, they accidentally did manage to spoil the actual ending of Dragon Ball Super Broly. But either way, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Oh, really? I got duplicates of those ice flowers. Okay, that's a little bit more strange than ever, but I will go for it anyway. Above the bouncy clouds. And of course, we'll be going back to Toadette as playable once again. So, naturally, oh, we got another Super Crown. In addition with the Super Crown, we also get Yoshi! In fact, it's been a while since we actually saw Yoshi kind of thing about it, because the last time we actually saw Yoshi on, it was actually by the forms of, well, Beanstalk Jungle, which even then, that does surprise me. So even then, though, that, yeah. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, back in 2016, when Daffy did manage to able to did done the new Super Luigi U Let's Play, basically he constantly gets himself screwed over by the forms of those Boomerang Bros by simply that. I'm pretty sure the Boomerang Bros doesn't want to let Yoshi to be involved in this level. I'm guessing that's where it's at, but I'm sure I managed to got this though. So believe me, I tried, because I'm the smartest and the toughest between the two. But either way though, because of how the fact that, you know. Alright, so, Again, not much else to really say about there, and the fact of the matter is, though, is that we're actually getting... I will say, though, is that we're still getting quite close towards the end of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe Let's Play at some point. In fact, we might actually go ahead and say this right now, for those of you who want to know what this Let's Play is going to be ended on. It might actually eventually going to be ended the Let's Play until at the very end of the month. Well, in this case, in the January month. And also, the same applies by the forms of, well... I will classify for same by the forms of, like, if we, at some point at the very beginning of next week, because even then, though, then until Monday, then, obviously, we are essentially done with New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and then that will be, does it, for the 2D Mario games, as far as this point right now. There are a few exceptions by the forms of, oh yeah, the Super Mario Land Duology series, by the forms of Super Mario Land for the Game Boy, and Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, also for the Game Boy. So we might as well do those as well, before we jump into the Wario Land series. I think I should probably go for a Wario Land series, kind of think about it, because either way, though, that, you know, we'll get the idea for the solution. So, as you can see, we've managed to revisiting back to the forms of Wiggler Rodeo level for a final time, and because of that, though, we are now managed to caught Nabbit for the 7th and the final time in the forms of, what else? New Super Luigi U / New Super Mario Bros. U. So, naturally, we are essentially accomplished that. So, now we can able to move on. So, in fact, let me go ahead and replace that ice flower into a pea acorn. So that way, we should be all sorted with some of the easy items that we've actually picked up, actually, throughout the majority of our journey. And let's go ahead and switch over to Nabbit yet again. And seems more accurately, we haven't got that far left of it. So I think we should probably go through a middle again, because even then, though, that, well, obviously it takes us by the forms of somewhere down there. And then I'm sure enough we can able to cope with this kind of stuff. So... But I will admit, though, right away, is that the Fuzzy's battle might be a little bit slower, just because of how the fact that, well, we obviously need to wait for the forms of that star block actually appeared, but even then, once you're able to actually nap that, then you would able to actually kick those Fuzzy's butts, no matter what. So, anyways, though, we got a penguin suit. Was it necessary to have that? Well... I think I've already showed that off in the forms of one of the levels from, you know, in Moraine Clouds, and especially with Frosted Glacier. So, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna have to get rid of it. So, even though what's the point able to actually have that right there? Well, at least it's cool and all, but it's a little bit identical to the ice flower, except, well, you know, just you have to slide, especially if you're able to, you know, go on the actual ice physics and stuff. So here we go with the forms of, you know, Flame Chomp Ferris Wheel. And as you can see on the backgrounds, there's that little cloudy imagery of Luigi right there. So that's pretty cool. And, you know, because of how the fact that of the celebration of the Year of Luigi back in 2013, which is about, again, almost 6 years ago. So, yeah, the first 2 star coins are very easy, but the third and final one, we have to do the ridiculous amount of timing, especially with that Flame Chomp right there, that I seem to misjudge of my jump right there. Is it possible that if Nabbit can able to actually make it there? Although you only have like 1 chance to able to get this. Oh, nice! How about that? Okay, so no need for the acorn mushroom fundamentally, but if you really like playing as Luigi or Toad for that matter, well, you do need to acquire a acorn mushroom in order to actually just reach up there. So, but of course, I'll be back with this level on my own time, so that way I can able to complete that level on my own time, as in, you know, the purple space replacing by the blue spaces after all. So, you know, you get the drill. 3-headed snake block, which is somewhere all feels a little bit too similar as the Hydra from Hercules, but either way though, and also at the same time Cerberus, but he forms the 3-headed dog as well, also from Hercules, but either way though, that's what the Greethology is, so, oh crap, ah! Darn it, that snake blocks just almost gonna screw me up. Even then though, at first I thought they were gonna crush me for whatever reason, but somehow I didn't get crushed, apparently. But oh well, no big deal. But on the plus side though, we got a pea acorn though, so at least we got that. So that way we can able to actually cheat our way through the actual main level itself, even though I would have able to actually save that up for later on, especially by the forms of the 9th and final world of the game, but nonetheless though, it's because of how the fact that I just want to able to get these levels done before you're able to actually just able to move on to the next couple of Let's Plays in the future, and somewhat almost at the, well, some other videos on it as well, so even then though, that could be mainly surprised by it for that specific part. So, anyway though, again, not much else to say, just the matter of the fact the matter is though, is that we're almost nearly towards the end of January, and not to mention that, you know, I should probably able to actually be looking forward until, you know, at some point in, you know, well, at least we only got 3 more days to go until, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, and I'm super hyped for it, and even then though, yeah. I suppose I also want to mention is the fact that I forgot to mention about this in yesterday's video, that Resident Evil 2 Remake came out recently for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I'm not sure about the Switch version of the game, but if I'm guessing this correctly, it might not, or it might be. But I don't know, we'll find out whenever I mention about that during the next video of New Super Mario Bros. U. Sorry, not New Super Luigi U, because obviously we've essentially done with, you know, pretty much everything we've got. And of course, it shows us back to Acorn Plains one last time. Well, in this case, Acorn Plains again. Like, you know, Nabbit is going to be able to go back into that world, and vice versa in a future world. But again, the only exception is the forms of Peach's Castle, because obviously he won't able to accept that. So, and also same applies for Superstar Road as well, because even then, he never normally pops up onto that specific world in general. So, yeah, I get the idea with this for this part. Alright, so here we go with the next level in Meringue Clouds. And I say next level is because after this level is done, we might actually come across into a final level in Meringue Clouds, and that will have to be the airship level. So, yeah, you get the idea. You get the idea with this part. So, again, I do apologize by the forms of my tongue twisting in the end, because obviously I'm having trouble with the forms of the English spellings and all that stuff, according to the forms of the kindergarten and all that stuff, which, truth be told, I still managed to practice my script, but either way though, not so much for a while. So even then, well, technically I at least done that, since, you know, whenever I done Sonic Blast, and especially notable with the forms of, I would say Mega Man 8 for the PlayStation, so naturally I can able to get used to with this kinds of stuff. So anyway, so we instantly approach at the very end right there, so that's good news. And also we see that silhouette of Luigi right there from that little wall, so that's a pretty interesting Easter egg as well. So naturally speaking, here's Ludwig von Koopa, in this case the final Koopaling of the entirety of the Koopaling lineup. In fact, yeah, this level is actually known for is the forms of Ludwig's Block Press Castle, which is pretty deadly compared to the forms of Clockwork Castle, but either way though, obviously the noticeable difference is the level layout and all that stuff. Oh, really? Also, I forgot to mention about this actually, is the fact that, not to mention that as you can see on the actual screen, not only do you able to actually keep an eye out with the forms of the real version of Ludwig von Koopa. Oh, really? How does that work? With that hitbox and all that, I should able to hit him. Oh, really? Anyway, not to mention that if you see, whenever, not only does the real Ludwig von Koopa usually just causes 3 spell projectiles, but also you need to keep an eye out with the forms of his eyes expressions, because if his eyebrows is usually showed up, this means it's fake. But if his eyes has been widely opened, it means it's real. So even then though, that's the only thing I'm actually pretty good at. So, yeah, all in all, yeah, pretty easy boss fight if you know what you're doing. I will say though, is that out of all the new Super Mario Bros. Series, when it comes to the Ludwig von Koopa boss fights in general, I would say the hardest ones will have to be New Super Mario Bros. Wii counterparts, because, well, you have to deal with him in the actual elevator, which even then, if you screwed up at least just once, then you have to redo the entire fight again. But I appreciate that that's not the case for the forms of New Super Mario Bros. 2. Well, it might be a little bit dragged on at points, especially because you have to get used to with that cannon pipes over and over again. And, for New Super Mario Bros. U / New Super Luigi U, at least it makes it somewhat a little bit easier, especially if you're paying attention to the forms of the actual eye expressions, and especially noticeable by the forms of the actual, like, projectiles he's been sending. So, anyways, now let's move on to the final level in Meringue Clouds, and usually we are to the airship fortress, but this time P-Jet is going to be able to tackle for this level for the first time. So, but even then though, that yeah, the level is called is Bowser Jr. Showdown, so this means that yeah, we need to able to get on top of the airship itself. So, but obviously, just like before, you have to deal with this little particular gigantic mecha fist, particular contraption, and then if you manage to able to get crushed by him, well, I'm not sure if you're able to get crushed on him, you instantly die from that, but even then, I haven't really done that for myself, honestly, because even then, I refuse to die, so, but you know, you get the drill for this part, so. But I get this strong sense of feeling about the fact that, I don't think we can able to reach into the forms of, like, I think might actually be the only new Super Mario Bros. Installments that I don't think we can able to reach over about 99 lives or anything, because even then, because I'm gonna be still doing with the forms of switching the character's mechanic, even by the forms of how the fact that, well, kind of like how he did in Boost Rush mode, and also same applies for challenge modes as well, but you know, as far as the actual main adventure is concerned, it may look like I actually done that all the time, because either way though, just to show off most of the levels with some of the characters I actually just managed to able to play and all that stuff. Alright, so here we go with Bowser Jr.'s second fight, and thankfully though, this boss fight, as far as competitive first boss battle with Bowser Jr., is actually a lot more fun and intense at the same time, and also, P-Jet is absolutely breaking this boss fight, especially with her double jump and maneuver, and as a result, if you manage able to double jump while you're trying to able to do that from here, wow, she just purposely breaks everything. Well, at least as far as for the most part though anyway. Let's try, oh, whatever. Let's just go ahead and stomp him. Oh well, no big deal. We don't need that P-Jet anytime soon, up until, well, I won't show you guys of what happens if you manage to able to transform into P-Jet, but it forms if you ever reach to the final battle in Peach's Castle, well, rooftop. So, but even then though, that will definitely gonna be happening. And plus, not to mention, since I managed to able to still save up some of my 2 spare super crowns or what have you, so that way I can able to show off from here. So, it looks like there goes the airship once again. So even then though, that's been completely destroyed and, well, doomed from the start. But of course, Bowser Jr. was not giving up on itself yet, because obviously there's one last thing to deal with right there, especially because, you know, we need to mainly focusing on the Princess Peach's castle for the time being, so naturally, we can essentially do that, so there we go. I think that's pretty much it, by the forms of Meringue Clouds. Well, in terms of every level, and especially noticeable with every star coins, but one exception, mind you, which is the forms of purple spaces replacing, well, usually, blue spaces, replaces, you know, purple spaces, which again, I will do that on my own time, just in case, well, for the sake of completionist, for the sake of being, so, yeah, there we go. And of course, we got one more world left, and before we end this off right here, I will able to switch to Luigi right there, because, again, just like in New Super Mario Bros. U, Peach will actually say something specific names, so, you know. Oh jeez, it's a lot more hotter than ever, but even then though, I'll explain more details onto that, and let's go and switch back to Nabbit of all things, and join me next time on Let's Play New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, being the New Super Luigi U game, is the fact that we're about to be moving on to the 8th world by the forms of Peach's Castle, and hopefully save Princess Peach once again, so see you guys next time. Later fellas.